Hello, welcome back to my channel, Texas Gal Treasures. My name is Margaret. I am a reselling homeschooling mom, and I sell things on eBay, Etsy, other platforms to help support my family. And in this video, my goal is to help you get set up on eBay. So if you're brand new and you're wanting to get your account set up, you're wanting to just get some quick tips to get you started with photography, shipping, listing, then you're in the right place. I'm also going to link a playlist here that is getting you started on eBay for different categories that goes a little more in depth. So this one is going to be a quick overview of all the things just to jumpstart you, get you on your feet. And then if you're wanting to dive deeper, then make sure that you bookmark or save this playlist so that you can come back and take a look at shipping tips and best practices in shipping, customer service, listings, photography, and what have you. So make sure you have that, and I'll be adding to it as I am updating those videos for 2024. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to create an account, what to sell, how to price, how to list, how to ship, product photography, eBay fees, how to get feedback, and customer service. These are all things that are very important when you're getting started. Personally, shipping was the hardest thing for me to overcome when I first started, but in each one of these areas, I had a lot to learn. So don't feel overwhelmed, just get started. That's what I always like to say, just start, and then slowly as you go, learn more and improve your listings, improve your photos, but at least get your feet in there, jump in, and let's get you started. As we go through this today, I'm going to be referencing my website because last year, when I created a video similar to this, some people were saying I was going a little bit too fast. So I went through my website and I broke things down step by step. So if you get lost or you need a little bit slower, then you can go back to my website to reference the things we're talking about. What you will do is come up here to the top, eBay for beginners. eBay beginners start here, and there's also different categories broken down here, but you can go there and see what we're talking about step by step. Let's get you started by setting up your eBay account. First thing you're going to do is go to ebay.com, and you're going to go in and hit sign in up in the very top corner right here, hi sign in. When you select this hi sign in button, it's going to take you to the account creation page. It's going to tell you here, sign into eBay or create an account. If you don't have an account already, or you're wanting to set up a separate account for your business, for your selling versus your buying, then you'll select create an account. I get this question a lot, should I choose a personal or a business account? If you are brand new and you're just starting or you're selling just casually part-time, then I would probably select a personal account. I detail here all the different requirements or things to consider whenever you're trying to decide between a personal account or a business account. So if you're running a registered business, for example, I have an LLC, I definitely have a business account. And at any point, if you're wanting to switch your personal account to a business account, that's something that you can talk to eBay about further along down the line. All right, at this point, you're going to create your account. You'll enter in your first name, last name, email, and password, and then they will ask you for your phone number so that you can verify that it is you creating this account. In some places, they may ask you to do an email verification versus a phone number verification, but in my case, it asks for the phone number. There are a lot of different account preferences that you can set up, so I'm just going to take you through the precursory ones that are probably the most important in my opinion for getting you set up on eBay. Once you have your account verified, you'll see hi Margaret up in the corner where it said hi sign in. So, or it won't say hi Margaret, it'll say hi your name. You'll click that and then it'll give you this drop down, and the drop down here has account settings or sign out. So select account settings, and then here you can go to personal information. On personal information, this is where I'm changing my username, because when I got assigned the account, they gave me a username of like Margaret2372Z or something like that. That didn't sound like a business or a person or anything. So change your username at that point to whatever you want you can have it to be your name or what you want your shop to be called. And keep in mind, this is the name that you're going to have displayed publicly. Next, you'll select payments. This is where you're telling eBay that you want money to come, and when you're paying fees, where you're wanting your payments to come from. The next thing you're going to want to do is set up your profile picture, because if you're going to buy something from someone, you want it to look like a real person. You want it to look professional. So whether you have a graphic that you put there for your business icon or a photo of yourself, then you'll do that at this point. So you'll click on the little picture. Once you've selected the little picture icon, you can go over to Edit Profile. You can select the profile picture icon to add your picture. And then at this point, you can add your About section. This lets people know that you are a real person that is selling or buying on eBay. And I give a list of things to consider when you're creating your profile section, say your profile picture, cover image, a brief introduction to who you are. If you're going to be selling in a specific niche, like what your experience is for selling, say, jewelry or clothing. And at that point, you've pretty much got most things covered that you need to have getting your account set up. So what do you sell on eBay? You can sell pretty much anything. There are some things that are prohibited or restricted, but depending on what you are interested in, I would say start there. Start with things around your house. Start with things that you know something about, whether it's jewelry, collectibles, video games, clothing, pretty much anything. You can start with what you know and slowly expand your knowledge into different areas. There's lots of videos out there. I've created quite a few videos about how to do the research on what's selling now. And you can decide on whether or not you care, whether or not you have short-term items like short tail or long tail items, meaning items that are going to sell quickly or items that you don't mind if they sit and they take longer to sell. Next up, let's talk about how to price your item. Once again, on my website, I have a whole article about pricing strategies, how to figure out the best price, and what to do if the item you're looking for can't be found on eBay or other places, and how to decide on a price at that point. Let's take, for example, this magazine comic book that just sold for me actually on Etsy, but I thought, well, it's something that recently sold, so it might be something worth taking a moment to look at how I chose the price for this item. This is an old comic book and I sold it for $19.99. The way I arrived at the price for this item was I took a look at what the item was. I took a look at the condition of the item, which was not amazing. It's not in fantastic condition. And then I went to eBay and I searched the item. I put in the name of the magazine comic book. I put in the date for it so that I could narrow it down to find similar items. And the first thing that populates are all of these. There's 134 with my search results. And as I'm looking at this, I see a lot of them are a lot lower price than the one I sold for. And they look to be in about the same condition for the most part. Some are a little bit more. But then the next thing I want to look at are sold listings. And I'll come down here and select sold items. When I'm looking at sold items here on eBay, I'm seeing that there are no exact matches found. But what I can do is look at other Conan comics and see what kind of prices they were selling for and what year they are, what condition they're in, to see what range mine might fall in. So as I'm looking, I'm noticing one bid. I don't generally pay attention to those because I wouldn't put this on auction. So I'll come up here. So I will select buy it now. What that means is these are ones that have been sold just at a flat price. So as I'm looking at this now, I'm seeing ones that some are sold for a lot of money. They look like they're in amazing condition. But the ones that are similar to my age range have sold for a lot less. So you might ask, how did I get $19.99 for this comic? So how did I end up arriving at this price for my comic? I had a huge stack of comics and I was researching each one, and the prices were all around that $20 range. None of them were over that, and there were quite a few that were under that. So what I ended up doing was putting a $19.99 price on pretty much all of them. And then I added best offer available so people could select to send me an offer on the item if they wanted it for a lower price. It just saved me a lot of time doing it that way versus putting $9.99 on this one and $12.99 on that one. And that way I didn't mind leaving these because I knew if they weren't super duper collectible, they might sit anyway, and the price fluctuates up and down. And that also could be something that happened here, is that they were $19.99 when I listed them, but now the demand for them has dropped and the prices have dropped. But I don't go back and really pay attention to that too much because I have items in my shop that will sell quickly, and I have items in my shop that will sit a little bit longer and eventually sell later. That being said, I also sell on other platforms, so I cross-post my items. So as you can see, this one sold on Etsy. On my site, I go into what if I can't find my item on eBay in order to come up with a price for it. And I detail the different ways to do that here, trying other keywords or search terms, because sometimes you're not using the same kind of words that other people are using for that same item. And then looking elsewhere, say on Google Shopping, Google Images, Etsy, and other platforms that also have people selling on them. And if your item is rare or one of a kind, you might not find it. And at that point, you really get to set your own price based on some parameters. Like I ask myself, is there a large market for this? Is this something that has high collectability? There's a few different ways to arrive at a price for an unusual or one of a kind item. And then sometimes you can't find your item because it's restricted or it's prohibited. And there's a whole list of items that you cannot sell on eBay or that have certain restrictions, and you can find that on eBay's website. Next up is photographs for eBay. This was something that took me a little time to learn as well, but really just don't overthink it. If you can get some natural light, that would be best, and try to have an uncluttered background, also probably best in my opinion, just to be able to highlight your item as best you can. I have a couple videos about taking great photos for eBay. And again, I'll be revamping this for 2024, but my one from last year still works great. Let me just give you a couple of quick tips to get you started. First of all, I use my phone. I don't have a fancy camera that I use for my eBay listings. You can use pretty much any phone nowadays, has a great camera on them. The first thing I would suggest to you, especially if you have an iPhone or an Android, what have you, is to set your phone to square, because the square size is what is going to be shown on eBay. And in order to do that, you'll come over to your phone. Down at the bottom, you'll see where it says the ratio is 4:3. When you select 4:3, it will give you this little menu, and you can select square at that point. And then at that point, the ratio will show 1:1, and you'll have a square image. Now you'll notice that my image is still kind of dark, so I can lighten this up here on my phone, or I can do it in eBay. If I wanted to do this on my phone, then I take my finger and I just select on the phone screen like so, and a little square and a sun will pop up on it. And if you take your finger and slide straight up, then that sun will brighten that picture up, and it'll look more like this. I have a few different setups that I use for my eBay photos. I've got a little pop-up tent like this, and I get the lights all around it. I try to get some natural light, especially if I have something that's super shiny, then this little tent helps out a lot to keep the glare off of the item. But I also use just a board and one of those trifold boards for like science fair projects. Sometimes it's just quicker to pop that thing up and get pictures taken like that, especially if it's plush, stuffed animals, things that are not super, super shiny, that are pretty easy to photograph. Then I make sure that I just pull those out and pop them on the table, and I'm ready to go. You want to make sure that you get multiple angles of your item, including inside, outside, any flaws. You want to make sure that the buyer knows what they're getting and not try to hide those flaws, because if they get it and they find them, then they're going to probably be pretty upset, maybe even open a return. And then I always like taking a photo with the measurements in it so that they can see it instead of just reading it, because sometimes it's hard to picture with words. I know for me, I'd rather see an image with a ruler next to it. The next thing to consider is shipping. Whenever you have an item that you're listing, make sure you know how you're going to be shipping that item out when it sells. So it's good to have all the different things that you're going to need, whether it's the box, the tape, the bubble wrap, tissue paper for padding. That way when your item sells, you're not scrambling trying to find the materials that you're looking for in order to ship it out. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I know how much to charge for shipping? And should I do free shipping? Should I do charged shipping, calculated shipping? I almost never do free shipping. That's just me personally. I know some people like to do free shipping if the item is a first class mail item. They call it something else, Ground Express or Ground Advantage or something like that now. If it's an item that's under £1, a lot of people will do free shipping for that. I don't. I charge shipping for every item that I sell. And the way that I calculate the shipping price is I come to the post office site. If you come to Quick Tools, you can select Calculate a Price. This will open up a calculator. When I get to this spot, when it says what zip code are you mailing from, you'll put your zip code. What zip code are you mailing to? Depending on where you are, try to find a state that is as far away from you as possible and a zip code in that state. That way you're not underestimating how far your package has to go. You can select anything for the date and the time and all of this, depending on your size. I select calculate based on price on shape and size. There are only a few things that I use flat rate boxes for. At this point, this is where you will enter how heavy your package is. So this is why you need to know like what kind of box you're using, how much packing material you're using, how heavy your item is. And then you'll enter in the pounds and ounces here and then decide on the package size. So the post office gives you lots of different options at this point to decide if you're going priority mail or just priority express. So if it's over a pound, then you're probably going to go priority. Based on the size and the weight that I entered, then the price would be $15.55 for priority. If it's something that you want to go ground, which is not going to be as expensive to ship, it's going to take longer to get there and it won't have insurance. You'll slide down and here, normal time delivery, expected delivery date, and that price would be $12.45. Generally, I go with the priority mail because of the insurance and it usually gets there quicker. Another thing I wanted to point out about the USPS website is that you can get free shipping supplies from USPS. If you come back to Quick Tools here, you can select free boxes. And from this section, there are lots of different priority mail boxes, flat rate boxes that you can order from this site. I really suggest getting a PO box for your eBay business. That way, when you are shipping items out, your return address on your packages is not your home address. It's your PO box address. Next up, let's talk about listing your item. Once you have your photos and you've got front, back, sides, and you're ready to get your item listed, you will create your title. Try to use as many keywords to describe your item as you can. Avoid using words like super cute or wow, look at this, because that's just a waste of the space. So for this Minnie Mouse pin, I wrote Minnie Mouse, Disney Minnie Mouse pin back button, pin, polka dot bow, plastic retro brooch, enamel. I tried to put in as many words as I could think of to make this item show up if someone were searching for it. Now, from time to time, I go through my listings and see that I've forgotten to put in very important words like brooch or sometimes the name of the character. And if something sits too long, then from time to time, I'll go through and double check things just to make sure that I've got the right words in my listing. So here's another item that I have that is a scarf clip. And you can see down here, all I have for my description is the title rewritten, the condition, the measurements. Usually I'll put brand or marks if it is branded. And then the inventory note is for me generally when I listed the item initially. Sometimes I'll also put how much I have a code for how much I spent for the item, but I didn't put that on here. So as you can see, I don't write a whole long, look at this gorgeous brooch or what have you, and wouldn't it look amazing on your jacket and you're totally welcome to do that, but it's not necessary because most people are just looking for the facts and not a story about the item, personally. But I know that now eBay has an AI writer to help you with your item descriptions, so that would be interesting to see how that plays out in helping write things. But I have a feeling it might still be too wordy for me because I'm quick. I've got to get in there, just the facts, get it in there, get it done, get it listed, and move on to the next thing. eBay fees are a little bit of a beast in my opinion because it all depends on so many different factors. There's a lot that goes into this. So every month it says you get 250 zero insertion fee listings or more if you have an eBay store. There are insertion fees, there's final value fees, there's basic fees for most categories, there's fees for different types of categories or different. There is so much to learn about eBay fees. I'm gonna link this for you to peruse in your own time. But if you want to find out how much your item is going to bring you, how much money you're gonna get, there is an eBay fee calculator where you can plug in all of your things here. So let's say my item sold for $19.99. The shipping I charged, let's say I charged $5 shipping. It cost me $0 because my friend gave it to me. Shipping costs, so let's say it cost me $4.50 to ship it out. Do I have an eBay store? You can decide, because it varies depending on your store. Let's pretend like I didn't have a store. And my seller standard is above standard. I'm not top rated. And again, if you're below standard or top rated, that can affect it as well. Was it overseas? Did you have promotions? Donated to charity? No. Okay. Sales tax, was that calculated? And then this would show me that my fees were $3.61. My total profit, $16.88. So let's say I was top rated state, then my price, my eBay fees would go down a little bit and my profits would go up a little bit. If I have a store, let's say I have a basic store, then my profits would go up if I'm a top rated with a basic store. So you can see there's a lot. It's hard to just say this is how much the fees are on eBay because there's so many things that go into it. So I would suggest checking out the eBay fee calculator, which again, I will link below so that you can fiddle with that and figure out like where you stand and how much you should. I mean, it's something to consider because if you're really trying to make $10 or more, $15 or more for whatever your profits need to be, you can see like, okay, this is how much eBay's taking. So you're not surprised later when what you get isn't as much as you thought it would be. Next up is getting feedback. This is a little tricky because a lot of times people want to see a store that's established. And if they're looking at a brand new seller, it's not always true, but sometimes, they can be worried that it's, not a real seller or it's a scam or what have you. So some ways to get feedback for your store. One is on eBay, they sell shipping supplies. If you've got an eBay store, you get so much per quarter to spend on the eBay shipping supplies. And eBay, as soon as they send those out, will give you feedback because it's an automatic feedback thing. So that's one way, is to go in and buy some eBay shipping supplies. Another thing that I've seen suggested is to go to a big seller, a seller that has thousands and thousands of items and thousands of feedback, and to buy something from them that is inexpensive, because frequently really big sellers will have their feedback set to automatic as well. I do. So when someone buys from me, as long as the transaction they've paid, I've shipped, all the things that have to happen, then I automatically, you can set it up to leave feedback automatically for the buyer. So that's another way to start getting some feedback on your account. And then if you have items that you're selling for pretty inexpensive, maybe you've got some things that you're just wanting to liquidate and it doesn't really matter as much about getting a bunch of profit off of it, then selling some things inexpensively in order to just try to start getting some feedback in that way is another option. I would love to hear some of your suggestions as far as getting feedback and what you would suggest to new sellers as far as that goes, because it really can make a difference. Not always. If you've got great listings, great quality items, then you're going to get people buying your stuff and they're going to leave you feedback. What I will suggest is don't message people trying to, hey, leave me feedback, right? Because sometimes no news is good news. And if you're like poking the bear, then they might leave you bad feedback. And that would really be detrimental to a brand new account. Next, let's talk customer service. Keep in mind that whenever you have a buyer that's messaging you, to always keep your conversations with that person through Messenger. One, keep it on their eBay Messenger. Never leave eBay's site to discuss things with a buyer. And if someone is trying to get you off site to talk about things, then don't do that, report them or what have you to eBay. Two, keep it professional, because if anything happens and eBay has to come in and intervene, they're going to look at the discussions that are had in your messenger to see like how things were handled. So make sure you keep things professional. And if there's ever something that comes up that's questionable, don't hesitate to call and ask eBay, or to go into some of the groups to say, hey, I had this situation, I'm a new seller, what would you suggest that I do in this situation? And depending on the group you're in, you could get some really helpful answers, and you could maybe get some really snarky answers. So I like to suggest that you join my group, Reselling Insiders, because we really kind of nip that kind of behavior in the bud, both in my jewelry group, Texas Gals Jewelry Lovers, and Reselling Insiders. We don't allow people, like, it's either helpful or it's just keep it to yourself, basically. So if you're interested in joining either one of those groups to get some help along the way, we'd love to have you and love to help you out. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, I will link my website and the websites that we discussed in this video down in the description box below. Check out this playlist, which I will also be updating. There are still some great videos there from last year that are still great information as far as shipping, photography, customer service, and lots of other great tips to get you started selling on eBay. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. This is one of the ways that I support my kids. I like to make videos to help you be successful selling online. And I'll see you on the next one.